Hello, welcome to the Let's Get Vulnerable podcast. It's your host, Dr. Morgan. I'm so excited about this episode. We're going to get into some really juicy topics around friendships and navigating your friendships, particularly when it comes to their opinions about your dating life or significant other. So, this is going to be a juicy topic. I know so many of you have actually been messaging me about friends. So, I'm excited. And then I've got some other audience questions we're going to dive into. We have so much to cover. I wanted to make a couple announcements. Number one, I have a YouTube channel. Did you know this? I always forget to mention it, so I'm mentioning it now. YouTube is awesome. You can feel like you're sitting across from me at a coffee shop and we're hanging out, right? You get the whole video component. You can see my amazing Let's Get Vulnerable studio where I have my neon sign and I'm usually drinking coffee today. This was courtesy of my fiance, and it's a little Americano in my Glacier National Park mug. These are the details that you miss when you only listen to the show. So head over to YouTube. The other thing that's going to be exclusive there is I am starting to release weekly meditations. This is going to come out hopefully every Friday. And these are quick. These are like less than 10 minutes. And they are meditations designed to help you become securely attached, do some inner child healing work. There's a lot of mindfulness, self compassion. This is an incredible meditation series, and it will only be available on YouTube. So go check out the link in the show notes. Go hit subscribe. We are constantly growing on there. I love it. And it's just a really special place to be. I've been noticing a lot of people commenting. They're saying things like, why doesn't this channel have more followers? And I'm like, well, because I always forget to mention YouTube. That's why. So here I am mentioning it. Now you know about it. It's not a secret. Go find it and subscribe. The other thing is, I have to announce I'm going to be in Miami again. I was just there with a beautiful friend of mine, but I am back in October and I'm going for a very special event, October 24th, 25th, 26th. And this event is hosted by the one and only Jamie C. She is an incredible entrepreneur. More importantly, she's an incredible human. She is so full of integrity. She's someone who has mentored me, and I just adore her. She's just an incredible human. And she really is throwing this event with so much intention and wanting to give back to the online entrepreneur community. And this is really going to be about connection and also growth and embodying your wealthiest, highest, and best self as an entrepreneur. And I am fortunate to speak. I'll be part of our education. I am speaking about secure attachment in terms of entrepreneurship. My talk will be the secure CEO. So I'm going to be talking a lot about how do we become securely attached to our businesses, something I'm so excited to talk about. It's going to be epic. If you want to come, use the link in the show notes. This is going to be an unforgettable event. I highly recommend you come. I will be there. I'm hanging out all 3 days. I'd love to meet you in person. So grab your ticket. There's a couple VIP spots left. The VIP folks get to do all of this crazy additional stuff, including a mastermind yacht party where we are hanging out with Jamie on a yacht, helping you improve your business. This is going to be so much freaking fun. I cannot wait. So, yeah, use the link in the show notes. I can't wait to see you there. It's going to be great. Moving on, I feel like there's just so many fun things going on in my life right now. The other thing I wanted to share, I was on Instagram the other day and I checked my inbox and this message popped up. And this is from one of you, one of our incredible listeners. I just want to read this to you. It's so sweet. And I think this is such an important sentiment that he expresses in this message. And shout out to the gay community. I love the gays. Do I have to say this? Like, I I feel like it should just be known, but I'll make it very clearly known. I am very pro LGBTQ. community. So this came from Antonio. Antonio says, "Hello, my name is Antonio. I'm a gay guy from a big city. Hello." He's dating and finding genuine connections has felt impossible, is what he said. And then he goes on to say, "I recently found your podcast during my break from dating. I wanted an answer about why I am the way I am and how I can improve my emotional flaws." And Antonio, I would never use the word flaws. It's not a flaw, but I get what you mean. Okay. So, how can I improve my emotional flaws? I merely thought one answer would solve all my problems. When I discovered what I discovered through your podcast wasn't necessarily the quote unquote answer that I was looking for, but instead it was exactly what I needed to learn and hear. I've transformed so much in the best way since my first listen, and it has, without a doubt, improved my dating life so much. I might only be 21, but you've helped me mature my approach and mindset greatly, and it's an incredible feeling. Antonio, I'm so proud of you because you could listen, but it's another thing to listen and apply it. So, cheering you on. And then he goes on to say, "I feel so lucky to have found your resources, and I just want to express my gratitude for you. My friends have been listening, growing too. Your listeners really do appreciate all of the effort you put into your work. It does not go unnoticed. Thank you." So messages like this are why I do what I do. I'm so grateful that I have you all in this incredible community. 4 years of this show, 5 million downloads later, a top 1% podcast, breaking the top 50 in personal development on a regular basis. I am just a girl who went through a ton of relational trauma and had the willingness to heal, and then decided that I wanted to help other people do the same. And it's because of this desire that I've had that I really just want people to suffer as little as possible in their dating lives. And I want people to realize that they're worthy of healthy, secure, loving relationships. And I've just wanted to help as many people as possible have high self-worth and great relationships. That's where this all has come from. And I'm just so incredibly grateful that I get to help people like Antonio and the thousands of you who tune in. I'm so incredibly grateful to serve you. And please know that this podcast is such a love of mine, because I know that it's helping you. That's why I love it, because it's helping. So it means the world to me when you take a minute to send me a message like that. So shout out, Antonio. I appreciate it. All of you who take time to send me a message. I know I don't always get back to you, but please know that I can still feel that and appreciate it. And if you really want to thank me for the over 480 whatever episodes that we've done, the best thing you can do is just go leave a written review on Apple Podcasts. That's actually how people find the show. So just go pull up your phone, leave a written review. That is the best way to thank me. And that helps me continue to do what I do. But I'm sending you so much love. I just love this community. Okay, I do. And with that, let's move into the audience question that I'm going to start with. This is one that I think a lot of you can relate to. So she says, "Hello, Dr. Morgan. Could you possibly touch on friendship dynamics, relationships, when it comes to friends overstepping in other friends' romantic relationships? I've been communicating with my best friends from childhood about how they overstep in my relationship with my partner, and I feel like they don't respect my privacy and they do mean girl things when they feel I don't do what they want. They also dislike my current boyfriend and refuse to have a relationship with him, which affects our friendships. My whole family loves him. He's a great guy, but they can't hear me out and they continue to disrespect me. I think it would be a good topic for the podcast. And I would love to learn how to navigate situations like this to set boundaries. Hopefully that made sense. Amazing. Yes, it does make sense. And I've heard this so many times. So if any of you listening have gone through this, I just want you to know you're not alone. This is something that comes up in the empowered, secure love community all the time, and something that I myself have dealt with, and so many women and men for that matter have dealt with, right? And the reality is you love your friends and you also relationship. And the last thing that you want is to feel like you have to choose. The last thing that you want is to feel like you have to choose. And that's what this does when you're in this kind of scenario. It makes you feel like you have to choose between your partner and your friends. So that is so not the vibe that we're going for, right? Um, the first thing that needs to be said here about this is when you have a new relationship with someone that you're starting to date, I highly recommend that you take your time in telling your people, in telling your friends. I like you to think of that new relationship as kind of this baby seed that's been planted in the ground and it's just starting to grow. It's just starting to have its little leaves pop up out of the ground. And we have to really protect the relationship. And when we go to all of our friends in our life, when we go to the girlfriends at the Sunday brunch and we're showing them the text messages and we're telling them all about this person that we're dating, we are actually setting ourselves up for all over this little vulnerable plant that's this new relationship. So we have to be very intentional about who we tell, when we tell them, and how we tell them about our relationship. I know there's that desire of like, oh, I just want to talk about it. I just want to tell people it's exciting, it's new. I want to share what I'm going through, right? That's totally normal. And I want you to think very carefully about who you share with. Ideally, it's someone who is a trusted advisor, someone who you know is non judgmental, someone who you know wants to celebrate you when you are happy and thriving, right? If we have friends that maybe they are struggling in their own relationships, or they have really been going through a tough time in their dating life, or just friends who have different values than we do. Maybe they value something completely different than you value in relationships. Then, of course, we open ourselves up to opinions that don't really serve us, right? So that would be my number one piece of advice. So I just want you to be really intentional about who you share with, when you share, how you share. It's okay if you are seeing someone for a month, 2 months, 3 months before telling your friends. You actually have the right to decide when and how you share. Okay. So that's one piece. And then obviously there's more information that I could get from you about what's going on. But if you have a friend that's saying, well, I think you should break up with him, he's not a good fit for you, I think you're settling, I think you could do better. If you're saying stuff like that, but meanwhile, you know in your heart that this person is actually a good match, that you're actually enjoying getting to know them, that it feels like a healthy relationship, then you really owe it to yourself to draw a firm boundary and tell your friend, okay, we are not going to talk about my relationship anymore. We will not be discussing my relationship. I like to think that when we realize that a friend's input about our relationship is no longer healthy or helpful, right? We absolutely have the right to just make it a topic that is off limits. It becomes an off limits topic. You can still go shopping, go to your yoga class together, go do whatever you want to do with your girlfriend. But maybe relationships are just something you're not going to talk about, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I would say draw that boundary. And then I want to just talk about a couple other scenarios, right? I think this is important. Sometimes our friends see things before we see things, the people who are really close to us. However, I'm not getting that from this message you sent me because of your family loving him, you're getting along, etc. So I don't think that is this scenario. But for anyone else who is listening, I think it's important to mention this alternative scenario where let's just say that your friend actually has some valid points. Okay. Because if we find ourselves getting really defensive when our friend is giving us feedback, if we're up in arms, if we're going, oh my gosh, I can't believe you would say that. Oh my gosh, you don't even know him. Oh my gosh, how could you say this? Right? If that's the reaction, there is a possibility that there is some truth to what your friend is saying. So, really, in this scenario, when we're getting feedback from our friends, it is so key to slow down, make sure that you've checked in with yourself, that you've done something that I call reality testing, where you're asking yourself, what is the actual truth about what's going on in this relationship, right? So, you're doing reality testing, you're slowing down, you're checking in with yourself, and you're saying, oh, do I like this person? Do I like how I feel in this person's presence? Am I able to set boundaries? Do I feel emotionally safe and secure in this relationship, right? You're tuning in to yourself. And know this, that you are the only one that really knows what it's like to be in the relationship, you and the other person. So ultimately, it's up to you to be the judge. So if you have a friend that's giving you feedback, hopefully they're doing it in a healthy, gentle way, and they're saying something like, I'm curious about this, or I've just noticed that they don't message you for a week at a time, and then they do message you, and as soon as they message you, you are ready to go, responding to everything and dropping everything to go see them. And I just can't help but notice that that doesn't seem fair to you, right? If I'm your friend, that's how I'm giving you feedback, okay? And if that is the case, you owe it to yourself to slow down, get curious, and take in your friend's input. And to do that, you have to really journal. You're going to have to journal. You're going to have to ask yourself, what's going on in this relationship? And ask yourself, do I feel the way that I would want to feel in my ideal healthy relationship? Is this the kind of emotion that I would want to feel on a regular basis for the next 50 years or however long you would be with this person, right? So you just have to learn how to slow down and tune inwards and trust yourself. So, a little bit of nuance to this question, but I hope that was super helpful. And when it comes to friends, we really, truly deserve to have friends that we can maintain while we're in a relationship. Sometimes what I see is in female friendships, friends feel threatened by the romantic partner. They feel like, okay, my friend's not going to have time for me anymore. They feel like they're not a priority. So sometimes their thoughts about the partner or their decision to put down the person you're dating is actually about their own insecurity and their fear that they're going to lose you as a friend. So this can be something that you talk through. I want to encourage you, if you're going through this with a friend, you get to sit down and have a conversation. You get to say something like, hey, ever since I started dating Tommy, I've noticed that things have been different. I've noticed that you've pulled away, or I've noticed that you've made little remarks about him. I'm so curious. Can you tell me what's coming up for you? So have that kind of conversation. And then you would want to say something like, I want you to know that even as I'm dating, as I'm developing relationships, that I still value our friendship and I want to make time to be a good friend to you. You are important to me, right? If that truly is the case. So there's all kinds of reasons why tension in friendships develops when you're dating. And it's up to you to do the work to figure out, okay, how can I, number one, set clear boundaries? Number two, get curious instead of defensive. And number three, do what is needed to protect the friendship as well, right? And then obviously, there are cases where, especially I see this a lot in codependent female friendships, which, by the way, there's a ton of people who are in codependent female friendship relationships, that sometimes actually dating someone is the thing that is going to cause that friendship to end simply because it's been unhealthy. If your friendship ends because you started dating someone, then that friendship was not meant for you in the first place. Okay. That was a codependent friendship. So, lots of things to consider here. I hope this was really helpful for you. I do want to answer just one more audience question. So, we're going to dive into that in a second. But I hope that that was helpful for you. And once again, I'm so happy to answer your questions. So, shoot me a DM, Dr. Morgan Coaching on Instagram, because I love answering your specific questions. All right, this next question is a pretty juicy one, and it goes like this. She says, scenario, I am securely attached. He is also securely attached, but the family is toxic. How to communicate that? This is something that I run into a lot. So I do want to answer this. One of the things to realize is that when we are dating someone, the more serious the relationship becomes, the more likely it is that you will start building relationships with the family. As the relationships with the family start to begin to be built, it's really important for you to realize that there's your relationship to the family, there's also your partner's relationship to their family. And that as you're building your relationship, it's important to talk with your partner about it. So, a way that this looks is having conversations with your partner about boundaries, about expectations, about, okay, how often are we going to communicate with your family? Are we going to spend holidays with them? The important thing is to realize that your partner obviously has a lot more experience with their family, because sometimes what I see is someone who is new, obviously. So you'll have someone who has kind of a toxic family relationship, and then they're bringing their partner in, and their partner can be so eager to please because they really want their future in-laws to like them, or they really want to be liked, right? They want to feel welcomed into the family, especially if maybe in their own family they're not feeling as close. So they see their partner's family as this opportunity to be part of a family. And sometimes what happens is the boundaries just get thrown out the window. And all of the sudden, you can feel kind of like you're stuck in this unhealthy dynamic with your partner's family. So, to avoid all of that, what I highly recommend you do is you just have conversations with your partner. You really ask them, hey, I know that we're spending more time with your family. I'm getting to know them. Can we talk about what are boundaries, expectations? Is there anything off limits in terms of things we would talk about? And how can I support you in your relationship with your family? Like, what does it look like for me just to support you? So I think the sooner these conversations happen, the better. And then specifically to this scenario where she says the family is toxic, Sometimes your partner may not see that their family is quote unquote toxic. And that is a really difficult conversation. What I find to be extremely helpful is that you would use I statements in sharing your experience, right? You would say things like, I felt this way when XYZ happened. So you're taking full ownership over your experience because people obviously are going to get defensive. They're going to be protective about their family. And there honestly is a lot of things that they do not see simply because they were raised in the family system. So, in order to make any kind of change or to just approach this in a healthy way, you have to really focus on how do I come across as owning my experience, explaining how I feel, expressing my needs, expressing my boundaries, and doing so in a way where I'm not feeling like I'm being judgmental or I'm quote unquote out to separate my partner from their family. We have to be very careful in how we approach these relationships. And then I think what is awesome is when you and your partner can work as a team and you're agreeing on how do we want to approach relationships with family. And what's really good is when I would say either you're working on this together or maybe someone is going to therapy, someone is getting outside help. Someone is doing the kind of work we do inside the Empowered Secure Love program, right? Like someone is kind of taking the charge on, okay, this is how we show up secure. This is how we can set boundaries, right? Like ideally, you're going to be working on that together. There's usually always one person, though, that's kind of at least starting it. But yeah, I think it's just so important to approach those relationships as a team. And it's okay for you to say, I love you. I value our relationship. I want to be by your side. And I am struggling in my relationship with your family. I am not sure how I can find a way to have a healthy relationship with your family. It's okay to be in that place. It's okay to set boundaries. There's such a pull to want to get along or impress or be liked by your partner's family, but you ultimately have to do what's best for your mental health and what's best for the relationship. And by you setting boundaries up front, you're actually helping your relationship in the long term, right? Because if we are just going along and not setting those boundaries, guess what happens? Resentment builds. And a lot of times that resentment's going to get directed towards your partner because that's the person closest to you. And we don't want that. That is recipe for relationship disaster. So work on setting those boundaries up front, having conversations with your partner, trying to get on the same page, and then you can be proactive and prevent resentment. Funny enough, my future in-laws are visiting this weekend, and I'm really fortunate that we have a very healthy, good relationship, but I realize that that's not the case for everyone. So that's kind of funny. They're literally going to be arriving from the airport any minute, and I'm excited about it. What I want to leave you with is this. This was actually on my heart today as I woke up. It was one of those things I was like, wow, this was like, I would think I was dreaming about this. And then I woke up and I just wrote it down. So this is what it was. I'm not telling you that healing is going to be easy, but I'm telling you that it is worth it. We do a disservice to ourselves if we think that, oh, becoming securely attached, releasing our past relationship trauma, becoming this highest and best version of ourselves who's confident, who can set boundaries. We do a disservice if we think that it's going to be easy. or that it's going to happen, boom, quickly overnight. We have to surrender to the fact that, yes, of course it's hard. Of course, there's things that come up. There's always going to be some challenges along the way, some really hard truths that you have to face, probably some relational trauma that you've buried really, really deep that you're going to have to pull up, look at, and then let go of. So I wanted you to know that of course it's not going to be easy. I've never said that healing and doing the work is going to be like a magic wand. Okay. That's not how it goes. But I am really, really certain of this truth. It's always going to be worth it. You are so worth it. You are so worth the investment in your healing. You are so worth becoming securely attached, becoming that version of you who can attract a healthy, loving partnership. You're so worthy of it. Okay. And obviously, if you want help with that, I would highly, highly, highly suggest that you apply to the Empowered Secure Love program. We have limited spots left in September, and I'm doing some really super fun bonuses this month, including I'm extending $1,000 off discount. Okay. I want to make this program accessible to as many people as possible. So I'm extending this discount. And you're getting some awesome bonuses. You're getting the Boundaries Are Hot hat. All of you love this hat. I always get people messaging me like, where can I get it? Right now, it's only available to our clients. So I'm going to give that to you as a gift. Super cute. And you also get our Securely Attached Dating audio course. This is going to be a game changer for you because it's going to walk you through how do you show up as the secure version of you as you're dating so that you can make good relationship decisions. You can say no to the wrong people more quickly. It's just going to be a guide for you when it comes to dating in a securely attached way. All right. So go apply to the Empowered Secure Love program. We have limited spots. Don't wait. Just use the link in the show notes. And of course, to each of you, I appreciate you. I'm so grateful that you're part of our empowered, secure, loved, let's get vulnerable community. You are amazing. And I'm wishing you high self-worth and great relationships. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.